The Fantastic Four First Steps is directed by Matt Shakman. It's the fifth Fantastic Four attempt. Wow. Hollywood really sucked at making these movies at some point. I almost forgot. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, the Fantastic Four must defend Earth from the ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer. Here's my brief history with the Fantastic Four on film. We got that old 90s film that came out technically a while ago, just that it was never officially released in theaters because it was supposed to be made just to keep the rights. And then we got the early 2000s films, which I never really got into. They just felt way too of their time and did not really scream the Fantastic Four to me, though there are elements that were pretty much enjoyable for me still. Like, I really enjoy the Silver Surfer, and some of the cast members do a good job, and I've always really enjoyed that interpretation of the Thing. But overall, those films were just forgettable to me. The 2015 reboot that came out on my birthday, if it isn't for Emilia Perez, it would be my least favorite film of all time still. But for the past few years, or past decade at this point, it was, until I saw Emilia Perez. But that was another story. You can watch my review of that. But I was really optimistic of Marvel when they got the rights to Fantastic Four back, that they were able to do these characters justice. But considering the on and off relationship I had with Marvel, I was unsure whether they're able to pull it off now. And I'm happy to say that after watching the film and giving it a few weeks of thought, the Fantastic Four First Steps is really good. I thought this was a blast of a Fantastic Four film. Not perfect, but I think it did so much right and felt so much like the comics of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee that it honestly floored me. For one, all the cast members do an amazing job. Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, and Joseph Quinn were all extremely exceptional in their roles, in my opinion. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards was actually the biggest surprise for me. As someone who does like Pedro Pascal as an actor, but is kind of sick of him being in literally almost every movie I've seen now, he is, by the end of the day, a really good actor, and that's basically the big reason why he's in so many movies now. And he still was able to bring a great performance to Reed Richards as someone who is definitely the smartest man on planet Earth and is doing everything he can to protect his family, trying to balance out the life being a hero and a father, is really something interesting, and I think he's able to pull off very well, as he's able to bring that fatherly authority and leadership figure that the Fantastic Four needs desperately, while Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm is essentially the heart of the film. She brings in the motherly element where she's willing to protect everyone, including her own child, and is not willing to compromise her values of who she is as a person in any sort of way, no matter how big or grand scale or galactic the problem is. And I think Vanessa Kirby was so endearing in this role and so powerful as well, and this is essentially my favorite version of the character we've gotten so far on film, especially with Reed Richards. With Ebon as the Thing, I really liked him. I think I preferred the 2000s version of the Thing a little bit more, but this version of this character is still really likable, who has a great banter with Johnny Storm, who, played by Joseph Quinn, is amazing. But the thing here, I liked his story about him trying to open up more to other people, but I feel like his story was probably the least explored, and I felt like it could have been developed a little bit more. But still, the film does a good job at getting me to endear to his character with his relationship with the rest of the Fantastic Four members. I just wish we could have gone just a little bit more with him. But with Johnny Storm, played by Joseph Quinn, he is fantastic. I can't believe I had to keep saying that word, like, but it's true. He is great in this role as Johnny Storm. He is a womanizer, but not to an annoying or degenerate extent. He is funny. He is a bit of a jackass at times and a bit of a jerk to his brother in a loving way, but he also has surprisingly a good amount of stuff going on with his character as he's trying to figure out what's going on with the Silver Surfer, played by Julia Gardner, who I think did a really good job in the voice role, and I believe mocap performance as well. She is really formidable as his character, and though a bit underdeveloped, has at least an interesting motivation as to why she is doing what she's doing with Galactus. And I think her and the relationship she starts to have with Johnny Storm, these two characters are essentially connected with one another in a way in which Johnny Storm is trying to figure out and trying to reason with Silver Surfer in order to be able to help out his world, and how he's trying to come to some sort of common ground with her. I think it is a really interesting story that is explored here very well. And Galactus, what a threatening presence. He is big. He is exactly like the comics in terms of aesthetics and look, and he is formidable. But despite all that, I also felt like his character was given a little bit less screen time than I would have liked. I felt like with Galactus and Silver Surfer as characters, if they'd gotten more time to be explored as characters and their motivations, I would have enjoyed their presence just a little bit more, but they worked just well enough for the story that they felt like a formidable presence, that the world is at stake, and the performances from these actors are really good, that you buy into the fact that they are a genuine threat. In fact, there is this interstellar-like space sequence in the middle of the film that is probably my favorite action set piece in the entire movie, in which the Silver Surfer is chasing after the Fantastic Four, and it is really adrenaline pumping. The visuals are crazy, the stakes are high, and the camera work is just flawless. It is absolutely great. In fact, a lot of the action here, especially in the final act, I thought was really good, really creative, utilizes the powers of the Fantastic Four very well. It's just that the film doesn't have a lot of action. It just has moments where the superheroes just save a lot of people and a few big action set pieces here and there. But I do enjoy the fact that we do get a lot of scenes of the Fantastic Four just helping people and saving others. And it just helped the movie just focus a lot on the characters. In fact, I would say that this is some of the most character-focused storytelling that the MCU has had in a while. At least this and Thunderbolts were some of the most character-focused stories that the MCU has had in a while. I don't think since Guardians 3 that the MCU has done something so character-focused like this. And it was so much more interesting and riveting that way, that I'm able to buy into the story and these characters, watch them try to overcome this problem, overcome not just their flaws, but trying to do their best to save everyone, including their own family, especially considering what is at stake right now with them, with Reed Richards and Sue Storm now starting to become parents. It is now a very high risk and dangerous scenario that they have now found themselves in, that you really do want to see them come out the other side okay. And while at times the movie can be a bit predictable with its storytelling, I think I really enjoy that aspect of how simple the story is, because it just helped me focus in on the characters just a lot more. have them interact with one another. We get to buy into who they are as individuals, how they see each other as a family, as brothers or uncles or fathers and mothers. All that is very well explored here, and that is due to some great direction by Matt Shakman, who does a great job directing this film. In its visuals, its production design is immaculate. He is able to visualize this entire world very well. In fact, what I also love about this film is how we are in a completely new universe, and we're just exploring how this world is set up, what it's like, what are the rules. It's like we don't need to catch up with anything else. You could just go into this film and just have a good time, and you can understand the story completely without watching any other MCU film. In fact, I would say you don't have to watch anything else to understand this movie, unless you're counting Thunderbolts and set up for the next Avengers film. You don't need to watch literally anything else to understand the characters, the story, the plot lines, nothing. Not even some cameos and a few teases for Marvel fans. This was a treat of a film. Not perfect. There could have been some characters that could have been explored not perfect. There could have been some better characterization for the villains, and it is a bit predictable at a fault at times. But for the most part, I had a great time with the Fantastic Four First Steps, and I'm gonna give it an A-. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.